right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Visual Marketing Show, where we ask experienced photographers to share tips and ideas that will help business owners and real estate agents make the most of their visual marketing. So today we're talking with Ciprian Cioaric, who runs New View Photography in Brisbane, Australia, and also Joseph Gonzalez, who runs Miami Real Estate Images in Florida. It's great to have you both here.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, you're welcome. All right. So very quickly, what's one question both of you wish a real estate agent client would ask you?
I always wish real estate agents would ask me, how do I get the seller to prepare the home for photos? So as a photographer, we're always running in and out of homes and getting them prepared a lot of times on our end, even though it's not typically supposed to be our responsibility. But, as hardworking real estate photographers, we always do our best to try to get the best shot. And I have agents that say, hey, Joseph, I send the preparation guide, but they just don't do it. Well, I think if you frame the importance of property preparation in terms of like financial outcomes and marketing dynamics, I think you can make them change their mind and convince them how important it is to prepare the property. So for example, if you discuss first impressions and how, if you explain that how important a first impression is and that potential buyers might overlook a great property just for the fact that it's a mess or doesn't look good. Our human brains are designed to simplify everything. So when you see a house full of clutter, your first reaction is almost just to go to the next listing, see something clean. Something that's gonna make you go, and your brain's gonna relax, because if you see a mess, it's not gonna help you sell the property. So it's gonna cost you in terms of probably getting less money for the property, and even worse, it's probably gonna make the house sit on the market longer, which is gonna be very costly. So if you can frame it in the fact that preparing the house properly it translates into dollars, thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, I think they'll be more inclined to either hiring a professional cleaning company to come clean the house or get it prepared for when we arrive, so we can do our job and take really beautiful photos that will, deliver a great first impression, and potentially, or I'm not even gonna say potentially, certainly will have more people interested in that property.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. Did so many houses where I just turned up and it just wasn't prepared well, and the photos don't look nearly as good, and therefore, yeah, it's the flow-on effects from that, isn't it?
And then it's our fault when the photos don't look good because the house isn't prepared.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. What about you, Ciprian?
Actually, the same thing. Yeah, I want them to ask me how they can best prepare the property to highlight its features and to showcase the house in best light. So the preparation of the property is most important in the photography and visual media process. So it signifies the agent commitment collaborations and acknowledge the photographer's expertise in showcasing the property in the best light. And it's very important in the preparation and creating compelling images. So
Yep.
it allows the photographer to provide a valuable insight on staging, lighting, and timing, ensuring the photograph effectively attract potential buyers by presenting the property in its best light and the best possible way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Totally
Do
agree.
do either of you have like a second question? Like, what else? Is there anything else you can think of off the top of your head that you wish
Um,
they'd ask you about?
when I first got the question, I was like, what question would a real estate agent client, what would you like a real estate agent client to ask you? And for me as a photographer and a business owner, I would love them to ask me, hey, can I introduce you to my broker? Because that would really give me an opportunity to show my work and potentially grow a relationship with a brokerage, and
Sure.
hopefully have a win-win situation.
Yep. Yep. Have you got a second one, Ciprian, you can think of?
No, I think this is the main one, and it's preparing the property is a big issue between photographers, and if you are talking with everyone, they have the same issue going to a property, not being prepared for or photo shoot ready. So yeah, I still think this is the main question I would love to be asked. Yeah.
Let's talk about clients then wanting the cheapest price when it comes to hiring a photographer. What do you see then as the pros and cons of hiring a cheap photographer?
So yeah, hiring a chief photographer is an attractive immediate benefit, and
Right.
I think it's essential to weigh this against potential long-term impacts on the sale process and overall satisfaction with the services and final product. Um, it has pro and cons. So to hire a chief photographer, it's cost effective. The lower cost is making professional photography more accessible, especially for agents on or sellers on a tight budget. Um, Another pro is budget allocation. They can allocate funds to other advertising, online advertising, print materials, and everything. And the price flexibility. They might be more willing to negotiate on price and packaging inclusion. The cons of cheap hiring a cheap real estate photographer might is the quality concern. There is inconsistent quality. So with lower pricing often correlates with less experience or inferior equipment, which potentially lead to inconsistent or lower quality images. Then a cheap photographer might have limited services, might not offer a comprehensive range of services such as virtual tours, aerial photography, or advanced editing capabilities, which can be crucial for showcasing a property. And all this will make a big impact on sale process. As everybody says, first impression matter. Since listing photos are often the first interaction potential buyers have with a property, lower quality images may fail to capture the property's full potential, leading to fewer inquiries. And because of this, the property may stay longer on market.
Sure.
With and another cons, lack of experience. So an inexperienced photographer may lack of experience and knowledge required to highlight the property in best feature. Another one maybe professionalism. But that could be all on my side.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
my view.
No, that's really good. What are your thoughts, Joseph?
I think he nailed it on the head. Everything you said, I completely agree with. Obviously the pros is if you're budget conscious, it's a cheaper price. I think if you have lower income properties or properties that don't show well, or perhaps a property with tenants in there that, as we were just talking about property preparation, sometimes if there's tenants, you're not going to be able to get that property prepared. Maybe it's a pro to invest in a cheaper company for that type of listing. But if you're, have a nice high-end listing, you definitely want someone with experience, someone with a good knowledge of composition and lighting. As Ciprian said, first impressions, everything. So same thing. Are they insured? Are they FAA approved? Things like that. Sometimes a cheaper photographer can come in cheaper because they may not have the overall cost. I know for me, we have a team, so you can get someone Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 on the phone, where a cheaper end photographer might be a solo shooter. He may not be able to give you the same quality of customer service that we can provide. And I was just having a conversation with a client this week about it because she hired another photographer because we didn't have the flexibility in the schedule. So she wanted it right now. She wanted it immediately. And unfortunately, she hired a cheaper photographer. The photos were not up to her standards. And she basically had to wait for me an additional week now to get me to rehire me. So now she's spending money twice. So she thought she was gonna be saving a couple bucks. She ends up spending more money, taking longer to get the property just to have me come back out. And I say it's like going to a good barber, right? My barber charges me way more than another barber, and he's usually booked out. And I could go somewhere else, pay less money, and it'll be cheaper, but then my haircut might look terrible for the next 3, 4 weeks. So I'd rather just
Yeah.
pay once, buy once, cry once, I like to say, and just go with the pros.
All right. I want to talk about drone shots. So let's talk about like when are drone shots a good idea? When are they not a good idea? Maybe what's a story you can briefly share about them? Who's got something on this?
Drone shots can be good idea and a bad idea. So we're talking about the surrounding area and what's in the surrounding area. What are we highlighting? You know, is there ocean views? Is there intercoastal views? Is there beautiful city skylines? I know here in Miami we have great skylines. We have tons of water. You know, are you by particular high? Like, are you by the design district? Are you by certain selling points? Then you definitely want the drone. But if you're in a neighborhood with no water, rundown houses surrounding the house, you might want to avoid it for that particular shoot. You know, I wouldn't say you need it for every shoot, but certainly if you're trying to highlight the selling areas, if there's boats going by the intercoastal, all that is beautiful for drone photography, and I highly recommend it in those cases.
Yep. Yep. Thoughts, Ciprian?
Yes, so especially in Australia, drone photography has become an influential tool in real estate marketing. Offers unique perspective and compelling imagery that traditional photography can't match. However, its effectiveness and depends on various factors. So drone photography is a good idea for large properties and rural locations. For large properties, it showcases the estate, all the amenities, and how big the land is. There is a comprehensive view highlighting the scope and layout, which ground level photography cannot. It can show the property features, um, outdoor features like extension, landscape, pools, waterfronts, dam, uh, wherever. And another good way is to showcase the high-end listings. Um, it shows the sophistication and the grandeur of the property. For rural locations, drone shots can convey the property context within the surroundings, natural features, and so on. Um, might not be best on, as Joseph said, on small properties where in high density areas where houses are next to each other. That will in will be some privacy concerns among the neighbors. Then another con on or I cannot use drone photography based on legal and regulation restrictions. As we have CASA in Australia, FAA in USA,
Hmm.
there is specific regulation concerning drone flights, including around airports, national parks, or at certain altitudes. So, if the property is within no-fly zone, drone photography is not an option.
And I,
Then, yeah,
I,
go
I
ahead.
definitely want to touch on that as well because I should have mentioned that. You know, sometimes clients will be like, "Oh, but the previous listing had drone photos," and I had to explain to them like, as a
Yeah.
professional FAA licensed pilot and an insured, you know, pilot, I have to make sure I'm following these guidelines. I can't
Yeah.
fly over schools, prisons,
Hmm.
the stadiums, and airports, Air Force bases, things like that. And sometimes they may get upset, but I always stick to my guns because one drone job is not worth losing my livelihood over. So it's important for agents to make sure that they're hiring a licensed pilot so they're not getting themselves in any kind of situation, legal situation,
And it happens all the time. They're asking
all the time.
reason. Yes, yeah.
They just don't understand. But I fly here all the time, and it's like I show them the drone maps. I'm like, listen, unfortunately, I can't. You can maybe. This is Miami where I live. They'll find someone to do it. It's just not going to be me. I'm not going to break the law to do the job.
And then you'll find out when the property is listed that the property has drone shots, even if you didn't take it.
Yep. Yeah.
Just one final question, then I want to just quickly talk about video. Do you think real estate agents should get a video for every listing where you are, or do you think it's just not necessary in your market all the time?
So I personally, I don't think each property needs a video. That's my view. So it might be the property value, the marketing budget, target buyer demographic,
Sure.
and the current real estate market dynamics. So, with in favor of video, video is more a visual appeal, has a more visual appeal, showcasing the property and providing a realistic, immersive experience that still photos cannot match. So it will make a market difference. And the storytelling allows helping potential buyers visualize their lives in the space. So yeah, it's I think it's case by case basis, case by case, and I don't think each property needs a video in my view.
Yeah. What about you, where you are, Joseph?
I agree with you, Ciprian. I think videos are a very powerful tool that we can use to market properties. Back against the property preparation. If a property is prepared well and shows well, I think a video is almost mandatory, especially in your luxury markets, your higher end properties. I think clients are really missing out, not just adding that to their budget, because it really goes a long way. But if the property is not looking so hot, maybe avoid the video. Sometimes I get hired. I do a lot of full packages here in Miami, and I feel like sometimes I show up and I'm just like, let's just do photos, and because I don't try. I always want to do more business, but I'm honest with my clients. And I'm like, if it's not going to help them, it's not going to help them. So if you show up to a property that's a mess, a video is not going to help. Sometimes even say, okay, let's just have you talk out front, talk about the property a little bit. Let's get the agent on camera so they can say, this is my new listing. I'm Jane Doe at 162 whatever street. And just because it's always good to get in front of the camera for the neighbors to know who you are, and you can post that on your social media. But every single property certainly doesn't need a video. But I do think the high-end properties, you'd be remiss if you didn't do one.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. No. That's really good points. Yep. Some questions then to ask your agent clients. Then I guess just to make sure that the property is appropriate for that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Hopefully there was something helpful there for you. Thank you, Ciprian and Joseph.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Hope you all have a great week.
Bye now.